thank you for listening to the Canvas Commentary Podcast. We love talking with new artists and hearing your stories. If you want to share your work, reach a wider audience, or be a guest on the show, visit DerekJacksonArtist.com and fill out the form under the Canvas Commentary Podcast section. Best of all, it's completely free. Today's guest is the amazing artist and educator Ann Baker. She earned her undergraduate degree in the art education from Greensboro College and her MFA from UNC Greensboro. Ann taught high school art in Guilford County, North Carolina for 20 years, inspiring generations of young artists. After her husband's retirement, she returned to Harrisonburg, where she now works from her home studio and teaches private art lessons. We're excited to hear about her journey as both an artist and educator. Please welcome Ann Baker to the episode. Hello, Miss Ann. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Derek. How are you? Good.
Good. Thank you for being here on Canvas Commentary. If people don't know, me and Ann have been friends from Michael's for about a year and a half now. And you are the reason I joined the Arts Association of the Valley.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. You came in and said, you need to join this. And I said, okay.
There we go.
So, and you talk about a little bit about your journey as an artist. Have you always wanted to be an artist, or did you kind of find yourself into it?
I think I always did. My dad was. So I grew up in that environment. He had a studio down in the basement. He was a printmaker. And I think I did. And I got to college. When in those days in the 70s, you got a degree most people got a degree in teaching. And so I got a degree in art education, undergrad, and then a master's in fine arts. But I got a job teaching high school art, and it just clicked with me. I loved it. So.
Oh, wow. And you taught how long?
I taught 20 years in Greensboro at a quite large, about 3,000 population student high school there, and we had a great program. And then I moved around a little bit. Then I went down to junior high, and then I moved back up to high school, and it was I just loved it. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So what do you paint, or have you always just painted, or what is your style? Has it evolved?
When you get an art education degree, in addition to education classes, you have to take all kinds of studio art. You have to learn to print make, you learn etching, you learn drawing, you learn whatever. And the goal is that through all those classes that you find something that clicks with you. For me, drawing is what clicked. For others, some of my colleagues, it was printmaking, watercolors, whatever. So your background's quite broad. I can go into Michael's and pretty much do everything that you sell. I don't do much of it very well, but then but I can teach it. And then as time went on, I developed a fondness for teaching drawing, and then now that's led to watercolor painting. You have to be a very good drawer to do watercolors. So it was a fit for me.
So
I love to teach.
You love to teach? Oh, yes,
Yeah,
you do.
I do love to teach. I give private lessons in my home. I just think learning to do any kind of art is a wonderful gift one can give to oneself. So
Yes, any sort of creative outlet is important to have.
exactly.
Um, so how do you describe your artistic style in your own words today?
Today, at this stage, I find I tend to favor the detail. The beauty
Okay.
to me, details, the technical part of it, the strong drawing, that has that's that's my kind of my reputation to do the more detailed. I paint with the group out of Richmond, and the joke is, oh, if it's detailed, give it to Ann. She'll knock that out. Everybody has their own um, things that they like. I love to do bird's nest, Queen Anne's lace. The more detailed, the happier I am.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Um, Other than consistency or details, uh, what kind of themes show up in your art most consistently?
But I think it is the details.
Okay.
They are fundamentally uh, sound as far as composition and drawing. It is sound. Um, the That's just my style. Other styles are more free form, and they make that work as well. I don't have any problem with that. It's just I just as long as somebody's doing something, I think it's great.
Oh, awesome. Um, so how does from start to finish, how does what does the creative process look like for you? Do you
For me,
just, yeah,
For me, if I'm doing like a botanical flower, usually it comes from a picture. A lot of people paint with or do the from the real, which is perfectly fine too. For me, because I'm in the detail, I need a photo. Then I usually grid it off on some watercolor paper, and if I'm going to do watercolors, right now I'm starting to experiment with some pen and ink, micro
oh,
pens, and do some things like that. In fact, I'm sitting here right now getting ready to start a, a drawing of a vase of flowers. I want to do it in a micro pen, see what happens there. So
oh,
uh,
wow.
so it's fun experiment. The trick is to believe that not every drawing or painting that you do is going to be a success. It's okay to fail. It's okay to work with it.
Hmm. Yeah, my favorite book is you probably know uh this book, but it's Art and Fear, which
Yes.
basically does talk about that you know not everyone's going to be Beethoven, but just going and expressing yourself is such a good concept.
It is actually, and I've been doing this a long time, and every now and then I go through and purge drawings from my studio, things that don't take my fancy anymore, or things that you just accumulate. And but one thing that I've kept consistently over all these years is a one thing I'm not particularly comfortable with is landscape. And
Okay.
when I was in grad school, I took a painting class and it was landscape, and this was the University of North Carolina in Greensboro, and we had to go outside and do landscapes, and it was awful. I hated every minute of it. But I have it looks like it's sepia ink drawing of just some buildings around the campus there, and I pulled it off. I did it. It was the only successful drawing I did that semester, but I still have that, and
Oh, wow.
it show you that it it yeah, you can conquer it. I'm still not a landscape painter, but I managed to pull that off. So made me happy.
There's too many details in landscape, huh? You would be there forever.
I would, I would want to focus in. Wait, is that a worm?
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So, has there been any fears coming into you or come into your art, and have you overcame any fears with your art?
A few years ago, not talent wise or mentally, but a few years ago, I shattered my right wrist. Shattered it. Actually, I have a
Oh,
wrist. I fell on some black ice. Actually, it was not black ice because the water was running, but there was black ice. And I should actually I have an artificial wrist. Back before people were getting artificial hips and knees, and I had brass rods coming out of it. I had surgery. It was an artist friend of mine came by and was concerned. It was my right hand, and so she brought me. She said, "What are you going to do? What are we going to do about art shows?" I said, "Art shows? I'm not even certain I could change my shirt. I didn't even know I had a massive cast on, and the doctor could not promise me that it was going to get better, that I could use my hand. And so she brought me a bird's nest, and she said, "Here, try. I could use my fingers. Here, try to draw this bird's nest." And it was a fabulous thing to keep my fingers loose and keep my hand nimble and while my wrist healed, and the rest is history. It worked. So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So when I finally finished my appointments with my hand surgeon, my wrist surgeon, and it was Dr. DePascal, and he told me, he said, "I had no idea you were ever going to get the use of your hand back," and
Oh,
so I gave him a bird's nest. And he's not here. I think he's down in Suffolk now, but I hope he still has it, because it is a tribute to to try. I will always be grateful to this friend for giving me that bird's nest to just try, and because you can't, it's not wrong to
yeah.
any way you do it. So,
Yeah, that's true. Um,
yeah.
what has your biggest professional lesson been, and what's the biggest lesson you've taught?
Well, I was lucky when I was student teaching in Greensboro. I had my mentor was a woman named Lib Bell. She was not a whole lot older than me, but she's married, had a couple kids, and she was a tough mentor. And she the first week I student taught didn't go well for many different reasons, and she stuck with me, and we then she got me my first job, and she became cultural arts supervisor, state of North Carolina. I could never be a supervisor because she was always there, but she also taught me that you never ever stop learning. In fact, just a couple years ago, I went down to Greensboro and I took her out for dinner for her 90th birthday, and I told her I was teaching a class at Lifelong Learning at JMU, and she'd asked me to bring my information that what I was going to teach. And so, but as the night went on, she didn't mention it. And as I dropped her off at her house, she said, "Come in, we'll have a cup of coffee, and I want to see your syllabus for your class."
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So you never stop teaching, you never stop learning. And sure enough, I showed it to her, and she made some suggestions.
okay.
So yeah, so yeah.
Well, and that's what I have found in the in just the few episodes I've been doing, because everybody uh is older. They there is a consistency of learning. There's a consistency of making themselves happy. It's the two things that I have found, like, is if the art isn't making the artist happy, then why do it?
Then quit and find something else. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what idea are you currently obsessed with right now?
Uh, right now, I'm starting to get obsessed with going back to micro pens to see how that's going to go.
Okay.
I I have a couple. I just finished a show. I've got a couple more coming up. Uh, I was obsessed with wash, and now that's passed. I've given that up. It's uh, actually I think I'm at the stage where I'm not going to fool around too much with what's new. I'm just going to stick with what I know and try and do that. Continue to do
Okay.
that well. Yep.
Okay. What does success for you look at, or how does success look like to you as an artist and as a teacher?
As a teacher, success, any teacher will tell you success is when you teach a point and that student goes, "Ah, I get that now." I
Uh,
and that's what keeps you going. Um, as an artist at this stage in your life, there's so much that comes easy to me that I assume what I'm going to do is a success. So that's why I stop every now and then, pause what I'm doing, and try something new again, like these micro pens. And well, that's new. It's new again to me, but it's not something I've done much of recently. So I think you need to maybe stop and just try something new. It doesn't have to be, I'm not a gimmicky person, but it could be something that you've tried before and just never had a chance to come back to. And
Mm,
that's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
okay.
So,
Um, so as a teacher, excuse me, as a teacher and as an artist, how do you handle criticism and how do you give criticism?
um, I think criticism is good, and I think if you can't handle criticism as an artist, you should be doing something else because everybody's got an opinion, particularly nowadays, on it. And I think it's how it's expressed. I think the criticism should always be tempered with positive things, and I have found that criticism, uh, again, among my painting group, most of us are art teachers, has been constructive, has been helpful. So I never, I'm not, my personality is such I don't take things personally. But a lot of people do, and if they do take it personally, then perhaps something else, maybe something else that is more personal, that's more non-objective or something that
Yeah.
you go
Um,
for it.
so is what would your 16-year-old self think about your current art situation?
I think they would say, I would say, good for you. You know, I've stayed the course. It's always been it's always been the pew I've been sitting in all my life. So it's not been no surprises. I've had some detours along the way, but I've always come back to this. So yeah, I just love to teach. When I was in North Carolina, I taught for a while at the University of Greensboro with student teachers and helped them get placed. We When Lib was cultural arts director for the state of North Carolina,
Mhm.
we did a curriculum for at-risk kids. North Carolina had been forced to accept at-risk kids as in general in the classroom. It was called the Willie M. Law. We were obsessed with getting art to those kids, and I helped her design a curriculum for that. We we I just yeah, it's just it yeah. If it's not working, do something else. It's like my opinion.
Yeah.
So
Um,
um,
is there a piece that you have saw an external piece that has changed you as an artist?
I'm always looking at other people's art to get ideas. I can't say there's anything specific. I'm quite fond of there's a couple local artists that I'm fond of that I'd like to do what they do, and I can't seem to do it. But uh, no, not particularly. I think I think I don't know how it is in other communities, but I think in Harrisonburg the artists tend to stay in their lane. I don't get a sense of competition, like or nitpicking or being super critical. I think it's a very supportive environment with people I know. I'm sure there's some outliers, there always is, but it's a very supportive community for arts. I do wish the Arts Council would, and I don't know if it's the Arts Council's job, but I wish there would be some sort of agency in Harrisonburg that would offer pretty sophisticated classes, not
Mhm.
just occasional. The problem with lifelong learning is every class I've taught there, let's say you teach 5 classes, everybody raises their hand. I'm going to miss 2. I'm going to miss 3, or something. I think we need something maybe to coordinate with the schools. And I know I've talked to some other people about that, and that's problematic. But to open up that a lot of that space that's empty, to open that up with classes or things like that, I think would be serious classes. I'm talking about. They maybe had to be referred to or something like that.
Mhm.
So I've done some children's classes at the Children's Museum, and that was great fun. But I'm thinking more developmental. These art teachers are pretty well stressed out these days, so something to be supportive of that.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to emerging artists?
Um, I'd say try everything. Try, try. Maybe there you go. Michael's could have a class of just here. Take a look at some of our supplies. Try this. Try have little watercolor samples, or try. What is that store here that has used art supplies?
Yes.
Just have people try colored pencils. Try explain a little bit about paper, because I go in there and you see it too. You see people staring at the paper. They don't know what to get. It would be nice to have some kind of information classes, and maybe if you take a class and you get, I don't know, 10% off, 20% off. Give them a little boost to in some way to recycle that back in the program if they don't like it. I think I would be really interested in starting something like that, because I think people just don't know where to start. They
Yeah.
look online, they YouTube something, and that's fine. But there's nothing like sitting there showing somebody how to hold a pencil, or showing how to measure a room for proportions.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
actually quite interesting you were talking about products at Michael's. I wish we had uh, more when we talk about paper. For that example, I was talking to Sylvia, and people will hopefully meet Sylvia eventually because I've asked her to come on the show. But how the paper works for pastel artists is not the same as and it's hard to explain that to when we don't have the product.
That's right, and it's not an easy process. You have to look at your products. You have to look at your space. You have to look at uh, uh, who you want to attract. I would think you would almost have to offer it for free
Hmm.
for somebody, and and but limit it to somebody. And I think out of that, say you limit it to 20, out of that you're going to get five that were sincerely interested in learning how to I don't know, how to use a rubber stamp, or how to there's and then as they sign up, then they would say what they're interested in.
Yeah.
I think that would be um, there's there's a lot of people that I've the last year and a half I've driven over this county working on another project about old houses. I've driven almost every mile of this county, and I've go into people's homes, and they almost all of them are working on something. It could be quilting, it could be I got a guy doing model airplanes. It could be something. I think if they um, uh, you know be nice to be refreshed with some new supplies or some new information.
So we talked about this, um, but what else other than your micro pens are you going to do next? What's exciting you?
I think, I I talked to the other day to somebody who was working with oil paints.
Oh,
Yeah, that's. And she was talking about the new products and stuff, but I'm not sure that it slightly interests me. I think at this stage, I'm just going to go back and keep doing what I'm doing. I think I'm just going to work on getting better at what I'm doing, because you always will get better.
yeah.
So
And you
yeah,
have the detail, man. You do have the detail.
thank you. I love it.
So this segment, we are calling it Art Crush. So who or what has influenced your artistic journey the most?
Well, I think it would be two people, me and my dad.
Okay.
As a kid with learning to print make. That was not my thing, but I have some of his prints in my house, and I learned the process. I learned the time. I learned, to be focused on that. It was a fabulous thing for a kid to do. Um, my mother was a conservatory trained church organist, so she was
Oh,
she was gone a lot more than mothers were during the 50s and 60s because she had weddings, she had funerals, had church services, and it wasn't a problem, but it was just our lifestyle. And so I spent a lot of time hanging out with him and doing that. And um, so the second, I guess, would be Liv Bell. She just not so much the art. We're probably equal as far as talent, but the to give the structure and to give the organization and to organize yourself so you can be productive. A lot of artists are not productive because they're not organized. They don't. They just randomly do different things. I usually have two or three things
Mhm.
going at the same time. Um, but I think you go. It's in my opinion, you need to be pretty organized. So
Okay.
uh,
And
I've seen it.
we've talked
I've seen
about
it work,
that.
but that's rare. That's almost genius level. And few of us. There's few people around that are genius.
Wow. So I wanted to talk about this because I'm curious about it. You said your dad's printmaking time. You learned the time. What does that mean?
Well, as a kid, I learned that it wasn't a simple process. He
Okay.
had to make his drawing. I helped him set up the silk screen. Those days it was silk screen. Uh, I helped him mix the colors. It was the process. It was the discipline of the process. You can't, and sometimes it didn't work. Sometimes I messed it up. Sometimes I spilled something or something. I did something dumb, and I learned also learned from him how important it was for him to have this time, for himself.
Mm,
So
okay. So this next segment is called Two on an Easel. So I asked all artists to send me pictures of work. I might ask you, Miss Ann, to send more of them after we talk. Um,
okay,
but yeah, it's funny. My grandmother, she loves this. Shout out to Grandma. She loves watching this, and my first, my first podcast, I sent it to her, and I thought she was going to be like, "Oh yeah, it's nice." She sent me a paragraph this long of a text of what I need to do right, and one,
ah,
yeah. So shout out Grandma Claudia. But one of her recommendations, and I loved the recommendation, was to put more art up. And so I really wanted to do that so I got three pieces from you. And so I know this is the next segment of the art crush. But maybe at the beginning I'll put some cool
okay.
painted pictures and stuff, whatever you want to promote. But what is the last piece you worked on, and what is your favorite piece?
Last piece I work on was a vase full of purple tulips. My favorite piece, I think, will always go back to a bird's nest.
Oh,
Just for many, yeah. So yeah, but I try them all in pen and ink. Uh, I do colored pencils. I've tried them all, so in different ways.
is your favorite the bird's nest that you gave to your doctor, or is it the one you sent me? Or is it the thing?
Uh, Probably the one I sent you.
Okay. What makes it your favorite?
I just worked. Everything worked about it. The colors worked. Everything worked. Some of them worked better than others.
Okay. I know because you have a lot of different, you've tried, I, this is me knowing you, you have tried different media with the bird's nest because you tried, what was,
Tried on Dura. Yeah,
what was the first one it was like, it was, uh, it was on like plastic and then
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
wow. Okay. And then your favorite you said was tulips. Did you send me that one?
No,
Or the
I just
last
finished
one?
that one. Yeah, yeah, the last one.
Okay. You'll have to send me that one and I'll put it up. I usually put it over my face because I'm staring at the camera and I'm staring at you. It's podcasting is really weird because you sit here and you stare at a camera and you don't see the person's face because it's underneath it. So I
Oh,
look so weird looking at the camera and not looking at you and yeah.
okay.
Um so last question. What is upcoming for Ann Baker?
The I got a certificate in botanical art at Lewis Skinner in Richmond, and we're having an alumni show there in the fall, and so I'm going to put a couple things in there. And then also backing up this summer, my painting group is having a show at the Tuckahoe Library in Richmond in July on native. I think it's called Colonial Plants, Native Plants for Virginia 250. And we're having a show with demonstrations of plants and things like that. That's on July 9th at the Tuckahoe Library. So that's so far so good.
Okay. So we'll have to do two shows. You have to check Miss Ann out if you're in Virginia. Uh, anything else you
In
want
Richmond,
in Richmond? Both in Richmond?
the Tuckahoe Library in Richmond, July 9th, is I've got two Queen Anne's lace in there, colonial plants. It's going to be a pretty good show. There'll be some probably on. I'm sure it's on the Tuckahoe Library website,
Okay.
and there're going to be demonstrations. Kids could come. There's going to be all kinds of. We go down end of the month to put it up. So yeah.
Okay.
And then in Louis, that's in the September. That's a wonderful day trip for somebody that wants to go to Richmond. They've just opened up a new conservatory. They've just enlarged their conservatory there, which is full of orchids, to massive. It's like the size of a football field. And in it, they have a permanent butterfly collection,
Oh.
and that's included in your entry fee. And they have a wonderful gift shop with all kinds of things for kids, gardeners, gifts, and pretty good place to eat there too. So,
Okay.
and they also have out of town memberships that are pretty reasonable for a year for about $100. Get you in for free. You can either do a family or you can do it. I'm really proud of thinking you do it with a friend. So a friend of mine have gotten memberships. It's nice that she can do it on her own, or we can do it together, or I can do it on my own. So nice.
Okay. Thank you, Miss
Big
Ann.
plug. Yes, thank
It
you.
was a pleasure to talk with you, and then I will send you a link to the podcast when I get it edited.
Thank you very much, Derek. It's always a pleasure.
It is a
Let's
pleasure.
get some Michaels.
Yes.
I can see your brain turning on that. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, the first summer be perfect time.
Yes. So
Happy to help.
thank you for
Let me
coming
know.
on, and
Okay.
I will talk to you soon then.
Okay. See you
See
around.
ya.